Hey, what's up? Andrew here from Offshore Audio, helping you guys to mix better live sound. This time we're going to take a look at parallel compression, which is a really awesome technique. Great for giving more punch to drums, more impact to things if you're mixing a rock show. Really invaluable to have in your arsenal if you don't know how to use it already. We're going to take a look at that. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you're interested in getting more videos about mixing live sound. Without further ado, let's dive in. We're going to look at parallel compression today. I'll take you through the technique on this Yamaha QL1 digital mixer. It should be the same principle for almost any digital mixer. So when you watch this video, you can take the technique away and use it even if this is not the mixer that you're working on. I have a drum loop here on my first two channels. Okay. I'm going to start by dialing in just a little bit of mild compression to my drum loop. So let's imagine that you're at a concert and you want to compress your drums a little bit. You could be compressing the individual drums, or you might have grouped all of your drums together to a stereo group or a bus or something similar. I just turned my compression on here. I've already dialed in some settings. If you want to know more about dialing in compressor settings, you can watch my video on that. I'll maybe dial it back a little bit, keep it a little more mild. Maybe you can hear that, it's quite subtle. I'll turn it off and on for you. Maybe not so clear through this microphone I'm speaking into, but I can hear the difference to it here. But what if that's not enough? What if you want more attack, more power? What if you're mixing rock, metal? It's a big show, you need a lot of impact. Then we can turn to parallel compression. This is a really easy technique. You just basically begin with your compression like I just showed you there on your first channels. You duplicate those channels and then you lay even more compression on those second two channels. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to select channel 3 and I'm going to change the input up here to channel 1. So now both channel 1 and channel 3 are receiving input from input 1 on the back of my mixer. Again, I've got a video on digital mixer routing. If you're unsure about how this works, I'd advise you to go and watch that video or go and check out my free workshop that I've got. Links down below in the description. But now I have the one input, so that's one side of my drum group, is now coming in on both channel 1 and channel 3. What's next? You guessed it. Channel 4 is going to be receiving channel 2, or the second half of my drum group. I'm just going to finish off by linking these two channels. On a Yamaha mixer, you just click up here on channel job, channel link, and then you hold the first channel and the second channel that you want to link with it. There we go. So now I've got my first drum group and then the exact same drum group on these two channels here. Now it's time to lay on the compression. This second drum group, we are going to compress to oblivion. We're going to limit it. We're going to destroy it. We're going to make it just this garbled mess of crunchy distortedness. Power compression. Let's do it. Start by turning your compressor on. Go in. We're going to need a higher ratio. Let's go 5:1. That's pretty intense. We want a fast attack. I want a fast attack. I want that compression to begin fast. So I'm going to 1-2 milliseconds here. I want my release. I'm going to leave it at medium now, but you can dial this into taste. Some people want it to be fast attack, fast release, like a limiter. Some people want to hold that compression on to keep that distortion. I'm going to start medium. You can dial it into your taste. Then what we do is we bring this threshold down until we are really compressing. You see here, we're at like 6 decibels of gain. That's not good enough. We want to go further. Let's go up to we're at like 12 decibels of gain now. That'll do. You hear that? That's super compressed. You can hear it's almost pumping. We want that pumping. But what we do now, right, is if we compress that hard in the first place, you're kind of over compressing it, you know? It's too much. You lose dynamics, you lose the natural sound of the drum set or whatever you're compressing. It could be a vocal, could be a brass section, could be whatever you want. But you lose a lot of those dynamics, right? So what we do now is we have our super crushed second channel here, which I'm going to add some makeup gain to, just to make sure that I've got enough volume to work with. So we have our super crushed second channel here, and then we've got our first lightly compressed, reasonably compressed channel. So what we can do is we can bring in our first channel. Maybe it sounds nice, but we want to bring the aggression in. So we begin to dial in our parallel compressed channel. You start to really hear it about here. Again, I'm not sure how well the microphone picks it up, but it's something you can try for yourself. About here, you can really start to hear that compressed sound coming in. But these first two channels are still letting the drums have dynamics and breathe. So you get that natural attack of the drums, but also the compressed, beefy power of this parallel, heavily compressed channel. And so that's why it's called parallel processing, because you have one group of channels and then a copy of those channels with different processing right beside them. And you can mix those two and blend them as you wish. But some older digital mixers and analog mixers don't allow you to just switch up the inputs like this. You can't just duplicate inputs. In that case, I would recommend getting either a channel splitter, which allows you to take a microphone and split it into two if you're using one single source. Or remember, you can use groups if your mixer has that. I can't demonstrate now because I don't have an analog mixer handy, but essentially you could take your drums and you could take all the individual drum channels and group them down to a stereo channel. And while you add compression to your individual drum channels that you're mixing, you also have this drum group, which is all of the drum channels. They're sent to that as well. And then you can parallel compress the group while holding the compression light on the individual channels. You'll get the same effect. Okay, so I hope that you found that one helpful. As you can see, the main takeaway is pretty simple. You need to duplicate the thing that you want to parallel compress, and then you do some really heavy compression on that second channel, and you blend the two channels. This is really easy on digital mixers because you can group things digitally or just reassign inputs that way, as I showed you in the video. But even on analog mixers, there's usually grouping functions that you can use to have a separate group, which you can then parallel compress. But thanks a lot for watching. Let me know down in the comments if you found that helpful, or if you have different ways that you like to use parallel compression. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see as well, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.